Hello there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a family game night video because everybody has all this time to sit around the house because we're all locked in quarantine again, apparently. I advocate role-playing games because you can sit around with your family and have hours of fun. It's really great stuff. You can order the books, you can order them online, and they'll deliver them right to your house and just read up on them and play. Now, when you play, one person has to be what's called it's called different things in different games, and I've discussed this in other videos. The guy who runs the game in Dungeons and Dragons is called a dungeon master, and as dungeon master, you have a huge leeway in designing the world in which your players will adventure. It has to be something everybody's kind of into. It has to be something everybody's going to enjoy, and again, a wide variety of different things you can do. You are literally creating the world. A lot of people think, well, I'm the dungeon master, therefore I'm God. No, not necessarily. The dungeon master cannot tell anyone what to do. He can make suggestions. He can create a scenario that, kind of steers the players a certain way, but he can't tell anybody what to do. A player character is controlled by the player. That's why they call it a player character. That being said, I disagree with the dungeon master being God, because he's not. Well, I suppose player characters could have free will. You can look at it that way. But anyway, the point being, the dungeon master designs the world. And most worlds are a medieval setting, meaning sword and sorcery, knights on horseback, and blah, 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 blah. Everybody's familiar with that, right? King Arthur, sword and sorcery kind of thing. Okay. Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, that's the one I prefer. However, there are some dungeon masters who prefer what's called a post-apocalyptic setting. Some cataclysm, either natural or man-made, has caused the world to revert to a more primitive state. This could be an asteroid impact. It could be a nuclear war. There's a plethora of ways that this could happen. Alien invasion. You could literally do it any way you want. Which, by the way, the alien invasion also means there's aliens running around. Something else for the players to contend with. So this is not necessarily a bad thing. You have to be careful how you do it, but it can be quite fun. One thing you have to realize that in this post-apocalyptic setting, for some reason and somehow, magic has returned to the world. It's more prevalent because you have to be able to have clerics, you have to be able to have wizards. Along with the standard advanced Dungeons & Dragons monsters that you find in the Monster Manual, Monster Manual 1, Monster Manual 2, the Fiend Folio, 3 really great books you got to have if you're going to run a game, because they're you can run up against all the armies and humans and elves and orcs and like that, but after a while you want a good old-fashioned monster, and for that you need the Monster Manual. Just saying. Along with all of these standard monsters, you also have different societies you can run into. You also have the ruins of the past civilizations, buildings, infrastructure. There's a dam over here. I don't know what the heck they used it for, but it was there, that kind of thing. It could be an old hydroelectric dam, a nuclear reactor, that's still maybe pumping out power. Who knows? My point is, this is very indicative of these types of scenarios, and it's a lot like, if you remember the old, I want to say it was in the late 70s or early 80s, they had a kid's cartoon on in the morning, Saturday mornings it was called, because back then they only had cartoons on Saturday morning, go figure. It was called Thundar the Barbarian, and he had the sun sword as a fiery sword. I remember one episode it was running out of power, he had to go stick it back in the lava to re-power it up. I like that cartoon, it was pretty cool. The point being, there's all kinds of different ways that you can do this. And one of the advantages of this post-apocalyptic thing is you can have your mutant radioactive zombies. I mean, you could, in a post-apocalyptic world, you could literally put anything in there. There is no limit. And you can do that in medieval settings as well, but my point is, the post-apocalyptic world sometimes gives you a little different flavor. And variety is the spice of life. A dungeon master can run his game any way he wants. The whole point is for the players to have fun. If the players aren't having fun, the dungeon master's not doing his job. That's what it boils down to. If everybody's having fun, you're running a good game. Okay? If you're not having fun, what's the point in playing? You see? Now, years ago, give you an idea of what this could be like. Years ago, I had a character. It was one of the first games I ever ran, as a matter of fact. In an old building in the basement, we were hiding out from some radioactive zombies, mutants. We were searching the place, and I found a book on the bookshelf that they pulled it out, and it was real heavy, and it kind of rattled a little bit. And I was like, what the hell? So I opened it up and started looking. It was one of those cutouts, where you open the book and there's a hidden cavity in there. And inside there was a .44 Magnum revolver. So I was running around with a cleric with a .44 Magnum revolver. Now, one of the players in the group was a wizard, and he had created a spell, because you can do that in the game. You're not limited by the spells that are in the book. Those are just the standard things, like fireballs and magic missiles and things like that. There are rules so a wizard can create their own magic spells. Yeah, the game master has to be careful how he does it. Make sure it's correct and won't unbalance the game. But they can do it. This particular wizard had a nice spell called Duplicate Object. It didn't work on magic items, but guess what? Bullets aren't magical. So I had 6 bullets. I put them in a box. He cast Duplicate Object. I took those 2 boxes of 12 bullets and put all the bullets in one. Duplicate Object again the next day. Over the course of several days, 6, 12, 24, 48. I had a nice little ammo supply. Worked out pretty good. But my point is, post-apocalyptic sword and sorcery can work. It can be so much fun. The game master has a lot more to deal with, because it's not just the sword and sorcery in the books. He also has to come up with the past civilization, the areas that he's in. The good part about this is there are a lot of pre-made maps, because there's maps of our world. You see what I'm saying? And he didn't have to use them. I'm just saying there's a lot of material available. Makes your job a little bit easier. But if you get the opportunity, and your game master and the other players want to give it a try, don't hesitate, because it can be very, very fun. Now, again, the whole point is to have fun. If you're not having fun, you're doing the wrong thing. Well, you got to make sure the dungeon master is up to it, and it might take a little bit more work for him, because any idiot can say, okay, you're broke and you're in this village, and it's reputed there's a treasure in that mountain. Go find it. Simple scenario, right? In post-apocalyptic stuff, it can be a lot more dangerous than that. It may be a little harder to come up with scenarios, but it can also be a lot more rewarding. So, remember to balance it all out. I hope everybody has fun playing these games. That's the whole damn point. And God knows in this time where we're all stuck at home, we got to have some fun, right? Have some fun. You folks have a good day now. God bless one and all.